Hey, Crunchy Athletes. It is June. This is our Zoom meetup, Zoom call for the month, and we have 40 minutes to crank out some good conversation today. We are going to be talking over our June book club, and in the month of June, I had you guys read Endure by Alex Hutchinson. It is one of my favorite books that I've actually ever read. It's so insightful. It's really talking about endurance, obviously, because it's kind of a nod to obviously the title, Endure. But real quick, I wanted to read just a quick summary of the book and pose a question to some of the ladies here in the live Zoom call. And that's totally okay if nobody wants to answer, but we can go ahead and move on. But anyways, the summary of this book is Endure is a deep dive into the limits of human performance and what controls them. Alex Hutchinson, a former elite runner and science journalist, explores whether it's our bodies or our minds that give out first when we push ourselves to the edge. Through fascinating stories, research, and interviews with top athletes and scientists, he breaks down how we respond to pain, heat, thirst, oxygen deprivation, and fatigue. What we learn is this: endurance isn't just about physical capacity, it's about perception, mindset, and the mysterious power of belief. This book challenges what we think we know about toughness and inspires us to question our own limits in training, competition, and life. Now, I think what made this book so impactful on me when I read it probably 4 or 5 years ago was just this was the first time as a strength and conditioning coach that I had considered somebody's ability to will themselves to do something that was difficult or being able to have the mental fortitude to go through something difficult. I think at the time I just assumed that some people were tough and some people were not. And obviously, your upbringing, whether you were in sports or whether you were not in sports, obviously impacts that. How your family viewed grit really influences how somebody is as an adult. And I just kind of went through studying the human body through all of my courses in college and did not consider maybe how our bodies as living human beings adapt to our surroundings and our chemical makeups through our hormones and our enzymes and our neural pathways in our brain can flex based purely on perception. And this book is such an easy read. It's so just unique in the way that it's written. Alex Hutchinson is an amazing author. The foreword is written by Malcolm Gladwell. Obviously, most of us know he's an incredible writer and author himself and poses a lot of deep thinking questions. And I think that's what intrigued me about this book. And one of the main things, or I would say stories, that I got out of this book that I have still used as an example today in all forms of my coaching or this concept of a winner's lap or a winner's kind of finale. And it's this idea and this we see it every 4 years when we're watching the Olympics. But you watch the marathon, let's say, or something really long like a 10K in track and field in the Olympics, and you would watch all these runners absolutely give arguably 100% of their effort, theoretically and legitimately 100% of their effort. Something happens though, is that when those runners cross the finish line, and let's say they get in the places of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth, they're on the ground, maybe they're puking, they're showing agony, they're showing suffering, and they are very much in the middle of realizing like how much pain and effort they just went through about the race. But what happens with the person that gets first? All of a sudden, or I would say 2 seconds before the finish line, you would have argued that the first place winner would have also given their 100%, which means, again, theoretically, at the finish line, they would be at a zero. They would be topped out. They would be dead. They would be fried. But because they won 2 seconds after the finish line, the perception of being a winner automatically, randomly, weirdly, magically gives them more energy. What do? They go grab their ideally American flag and they take a lap. They run around the stadium toting, their flag. They're toting their pride for their country and what they've been able to do. They're a winner. And all of a sudden, this concept of winners continue to win because they're addicted to the idea that they get this extra burst of energy after you win. And so that's extremely powerful when we think about that impacts how that impacts how we view exercise, how we view a physical effort, how we view a winning in daily life. And you work through any type of like course, you work through any type of you know, um, mental protocol for grit and toughness. They're going to talk about your belief in yourself, and they're going to talk about, your self-talk or how you're visualizing you winning. And the reason why is because it comes down to belief. The very idea of you believing that you can complete something is potentially that extra edge to push you to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And all of a sudden, winners win. Now, I'm not saying that winners always win because they do everything perfectly or because, physiologically they are just made to win or they don't have to work hard or they don't have to put in the extra effort. But what it really just means is that this concept of belief is so powerful that you can start stringing together incredible things in your life. And so maybe take a piece of that and put it on your own life. And how I view that is in the most minute ways you can extrapolate that, right? Like you wake up. For me, if I empty the dishwasher right when I wake up, that is a mental win. And I'm already on the right track. And from there, then I'm packing my lunch and I'm eating healthy. That is a mental win. And if I'm doing that, then I'm definitely going to work out. And if I work out, I'm definitely going to have another mental win because I'm going to get all those endorphins and I'm going to be so proud of myself. And then once I work out, then I'm going to have probably better or more resilient body image because I know how much hard work I've put into just training myself. And just, the effort and the time that I put into nourishing myself and just doing something better for it and staying healthy for it. And so then I'm winning in the gym. And then when I'm winning in the gym, then I'm winning how I view myself. I'm winning in how my clothes fit. Then I'm winning in how I'm sleeping. If I'm sleeping, then I don't know about you, but I'm in a better mood. I have better relationships. That's a win. And so I'm not saying, and obviously as a Christian, I'm not trying to sell you on some, hokey prosperity gospel that your life is going to be perfect if you do everything right. But what I am saying is that this belief that you can just win, quote unquote, win at the small things truly sets your life up for a cycle of success. And success is obviously relative to each person, what that success looks like. Success could be eating the right amount of protein every day. Success could mean working out 3 to 4 days a week. Success could mean packing your lunch every day and not eating out. And so I think it's important to define what winning looks like, but it's also stringing together small winners laps. These random moments where all of a sudden you get more energy because you've won at something previously. And so I just want to kind of just throw that out there just as a challenge. Think about where you can win every day. But Alicia, I'm going to throw out a question to you. It has nothing to do with the book necessarily, but maybe just to spark some conversation. But I would love for you to answer. Do you think endurance, just also a nod to the book, do you think endurance is something you're born with or something you build over time?
Oh, for sure, something you build over time.
Yeah. Do you have an example of anything in your life you felt like you've had to endure through, but you kind of came out on top because you're able to kind of be gritty through the process?
Um, Not on the spot that I can think of.
That's totally fine.
Sorry.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, I'll ask you another one. How do factors like sleep, nutrition, and stress impact mental limits of yourself?
How do they impact you?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like they impact your whole entire being, your thoughts, your
mm,
actions, the energy you have. Like, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, just exactly kind of what I explained just now.
yeah,
Like if I sleep, I'm in a better mood. I'm probably going to be more gracious towards
for
people in my
sure.
life, better relationships. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then last one for you, Alicia. How do you differentiate between discomfort that signals growth and discomfort that signals danger or burnout?
Ooh. I feel like for me, like as a Christian, I'm like constantly asking God's wisdom and for discernment and guidance from Him. So if it's not something that's like aligned biblically or aligned with something that I like know He's calling me to do or calling me not to do, then I either stay away from it or lean into that discomfort.
Absolutely. It's funny that you brought that up. I was just talking to a friend about that today of just like if I feel um I think when you are a Christian, you obviously have the Holy Spirit who's giving you discernment in the moment
Mhm.
throughout your walk with Jesus. Ideally, we're listening to that more and more, become better at listening to that and like understanding that. But when I feel like uncomfortable and icky, it's like even if I'm wrestling with it, I know it's like not the right decision, you
Right.
know?
Hmm.
And I think that's just kind of that signal of like danger. Like I think
Hmm.
that's secular wise, we could just be like, that's our gut feeling, like
Right.
your gut knows best, your best, but
Hmm.
it's just the Holy Spirit giving us discernment. So
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate that. I am going to, you guys can obviously drop any questions in the chat. I see Ashley, you're here. Thanks for being here. Alicia, I'm just going to mute you so that we're all kind of on the same page. Perfect. I'm going to pull the chat up. If you guys have questions as we go through the next section of nutrition information, then go ahead and drop it in the chat while I go over it. But um, I am in the process of finishing out an official nutrition certification. Now, within my current scope of being a strength conditioning coach, I can talk about nutrition. I can give people macronutrients. That's something that's totally within my scope. But I did feel more comfortable having a very clear, cut and dry nutrition certification. And so I am finishing that up in the next couple of weeks through Precision Nutrition. I am really enjoying it. It's giving me a back end system to be able to organize nutrition information more effectively for you guys. So that's definitely a perk that's coming your way. And so, what I'm going to show you next is going to be a PDF printout. It's an example. I used my own metrics kind of as an example for you guys to look at. So I'll share my screen in just a second. Um, but what this does is this is a back end calculator and PDF generator that I now have access to through Precision Nutrition that allows me to give you a very pretty PDF of your macronutrient breakdown that is extremely personalized. And so beforehand, I was just doing math on my own, which was totally fine. And I would just be able to like give you guys numbers. But now it's in a very nice packaged format with numbers, examples. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you guys can see that. Let's see here. Get you right over here. Okay. Go ahead and just like nod your head, Alicia, if you can see this. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so this is an example of the PDF that you would get. So it is a 17-page PDF. And it obviously is going to be personalized to you with your name on there. I'm able to put my own coaching information on here with my logo. And so, yes, this is powered by Precision Nutrition, but this is the stamp of approval of the coach that gives it to you. So it'd obviously be me. So this is obviously title page. This is going to be just like an introductory page of just kind of where you're at, some guidance on what things to focus on first, what things to not worry about. And then this is where the nitty-gritty comes into play, and it's so cool. But I put in this information just in the calculator. So whenever I do this with somebody, this would be personalized, very, very, very personalized to you based on your own answers. Precision Nutrition is obviously a nutrition certification that does not necessarily look at quote unquote animal-based eating, but the best thing closest to that is going to be paleo. And so it does ask your preferred eating style because it gives you food recommendations later in the PDF. And then there's obviously throughout my certification, there's lingo that we use on like whether you're truly losing weight, building muscle, athletic competition, or body recomposition. These are very like specific verbiage that we're using. And so I just use body recomposition as an example for you to just kind of see here today. But this next page, page 4, is the meat and potatoes of what I want somebody to look at. And so based on the information I gave the calculator, this would be my macronutrients. So this would be I need 146 grams of protein, I need 181 grams of carbohydrates, 81 grams of fats, and then this small number down here is going to be my total calories that I need. And so I know on previous Zoom calls we've gone over Chronometer, the app, and that is still the app that I'm currently using to track my own food. So that app, I'm going to type it in the chat here. Um, Chronometer is the app that I use to track my food. And it is the easiest way because MyFitnessPal, just as a side note, MyFitnessPal used to be the best app to use. But MyFitnessPal now charges if you want to be able to scan barcodes on food items. And that's the best way to track food is to scan the barcodes on the food items and then weigh it. And Chronometer is an app that does that for free. So essentially, I would put these numbers that I just gave into Chronometer, and then I'm able to track my food very specifically based on this body recomposition example. Now, this is where it gets really fun and specific. So obviously, I did say that precision nutrition does not necessarily recognize animal based, like obviously Weston A. Price is not going to be on there. But paleo is pretty close, I would say. Focusing on meat, fruits, vegetables, grains, or actually no grains, seeds, nuts, things like that. They're kind of like pros and cons on there. And so it does spit out some examples of meals for you based on the serving sizes that you need that were previously mentioned on the previous page. So, for example, here you can see protein is in blue, veggies are in green, and the reason why they put veggies on there is obviously for the fiber, and fiber is important, so they do include that. Carbohydrates are in orange, and then fats are in yellow, and so that obviously correlates to the colors here on the menu. So it would be like 1 to 2 palms of chopped chicken, 1 to 2 fists of vegetables, 2 handfuls of beet slaw, and 2 to 3 thumbs of guacamole, just for this like very specific menu item here. And so this is going to be in generalities. And something that's really important that I'm studying within the certification is just honestly how this method of using your hand sizes is within 10% accuracy of actually counting calories on an app, let's say like Chronometer. So if you really are overwhelmed by the thought of logging your food, then like on a phone app and weighing it, then I would recommend start with this idea, read this PDF thoroughly on how to, accurately size out what you need for each of your macronutrients. And this is like extremely helpful. So the paleo meals. Then it goes through another 11 pages of information that you can read about reading nutrition labels, logging your intake on the food, how to actually measure your food, within the protein, carbs, and fats, how to meet your targets. It gives you a printable sheet if you don't want to log your food, but you want to just track each day's worth of, fists, handfuls, and thumbs of different sizes of macronutrients. You can absolutely just color in your little circles right here. Um, how to go through all of that. And then what are proteins, what are carbs, what are fats within your normal grocery store? This is going to be ironed out. And obviously, again, it's going off of the basic ideas of yes, paleo. Um, and so it's going to be focused on yes, animal meats. The only things that I would, probably disagree with are going to be on the fats page, considering the Weston A. Price, viewpoint that most of us hold. Obviously, it's going to say no butter, where I say, girl, eat the butter. You know what I mean? So there's some back and forth on this, and I wouldn't be too nitpicky about it. And obviously, we know, like for our carbohydrates, for example, all of our grains need to be soaked, sprouted, and fermented, but we learned that through Weston A. Price. And so I think we can understand that and flex, but this is a very applicable PDF. Vegetables, what we should be looking for in the grocery store, how to adjust calories based on how much fat loss you want per week, realistically, your muscle gain per month, and then some very common, frequently asked questions it goes through. So I hope I made my point that this 17-page PDF that you have access to is incredible. So now you're probably asking, Kelsey, I want that. How the heck do I get that? Well, what I'm going to do first is anybody who is on my current membership um, gets access to a 15-minute Zoom call, or excuse me, Google Meet video call. 15 minutes. So you're in, you're out. 15 minutes call with me. It's already included in your membership. And I'm going to ask you all those questions while we're on the call. I'm going to pump that information into the calculator. I'm going to download the PDF. I will email you the PDF. It is going to you for free, but it's only going to happen if you sign up through the Calendly link that I'm dropping in the chat right now because you guys get first dibs because you're on my call. Um, so because you're on my call, you're getting first dibs of my calendar. It's already there. Go ahead and sign up. Um, and once those slots get filled and I kind of just get in the groove of, you know, getting everybody their PDFs, then I will make it an automatic option when you sign up to be a member with me that this Calendly link will be linked to their like you all got this confirmation email of like, hey, thanks for joining. This is how you get on Train Heroic. Within that email, it's also going to be like, hey, you also have access to a free 15-minute video call to get your macronutrient breakdown. It's going to be part of that. And so we are just, again, furthering the ability to have a holistic approach to, yes, your workouts, but also your nutrition, also mobility, also recovery, just adding small pieces at a time. But I'm gonna go ahead and take a 5-second pause to grab a sip of water. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat if you have questions about the nutrition PDF. Okay, sounds like we're pretty kosher about it. Um, Again, I will just kind of quickly caveat Precision Nutrition again. I think they're a phenomenal program. I've greatly enjoyed the certification that I'm getting. Um, it is a conventional nutrition certification. It's not going to be like holistically minded. It's not going to be functional dietetics or functional nutrition necessarily. But it's giving me the platform that I needed to work better with you guys. And so I'm excited about including this in your membership and continually expanding things for you. But go ahead, hop on my calendar. For some reason, if something doesn't work or the time frames just don't work, then you guys can send me an email or direct message me on Train Heroic. I'd be happy to open up more slots that work for both of us on our calendars. And we'll just kind of keep on rolling. I think I have finalized the July book that we're going to go ahead and read and review. And we are going to go over Good Energy by Callie and Casey Means. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal book. I'm already about 3/4 of the way through, and I think anybody and everybody should be reading it. So look out for the July email on the next book. So I'll go ahead and stay on for a couple more minutes. If you have nothing for me, you can hop off, but I'll hang on in case you got a question for me. Thanks, ladies. Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Alyssa. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Alicia. Have a wonderful night. Thanks, Amy.